we got stuff today. I'm going to warm everybody up and introduce everybody. Hot seat questions for the day. What do contracting officers need from the people that are here? What do program managers need from the people that are here? And what do prime contractors need from the people that are here? And the bonus is, how does Sam Radar help? Sam Radar is a phenomenal program that you need to know about. We will be discussing this with experts and what works, highlighting sponsors and partners, the people that are here. Why? Because you can't do this alone. You need things like Sam Radar. You need things like Sally White and Echo Wolf Solutions. You need Peter Timbus and TFN. You need Rafael Marrero and Company. That is just the way that it is. All right, so participation, we love it. We love it all the time. Put stuff in the chat, including the one word you have for the federal government and where you're from. Any of your questions, you can raise your hand. You can pop it in the Q&A. We will unmute you. We'll include you. A real quick disclaimer. This event is not endorsed by any agencies, provided to you from informational purposes, not purposed only. I gotta fix that. God bless me. All right. It doesn't guarantee a contract award. And if you're a Govy, we love Govies, don't we, Sally? We love them.
We love Govies.
We love Govies. And you can participate in this. And it's not an indication or endorsement to commit or commitment to purchase from any vendor. All right. I got through that part. All right. Let's get to know each other a little bit. Now, and we'll get to know you, and we'll talk to a little bit about us. I got to grab the chat. Got to grab the stuff for the for where we are. Hold on 1 second. I need to
while
grab
you're doing
this
that, we have Jay Talbot from Gilbert. Woohoo!
Jay Talbot is all awesome,
Linda
man.
from Atlanta with a past
he's the
GSA
man.
background. Wonderful, Linda. Super.
All right. There's going to be an update to this. There's an old file in here, and I'm going to make sure it gets updated for everybody. But I'm going to put into the chat
Aloha, Tina.
the handouts for today. And this is going to everybody. Here's the handouts for today. Where is it? Come on. You can do it.
We have an AI assistant. We have an AI assistant.
Skype, I need to pull this from, pay no attention to man behind the curtain. I need to grab this. What is happening? Here we go. I need to copy this and paste it here, because all these, so what I mean by this is I'm going to replace this at the end of the day. I'm going to get this fiscal year to date spending updated, because we have a new June version of that. All right. So that you got the handouts, everything's going to be good. What's your one word for doing business with the federal government? What is your one word? Anybody got one word? Do I see anything? Let's see. Money, says Sally White. Crazy, says Jay Talbot. Anybody got their one word? Put it into the chat. Daunting, that's another one. Tina says
2 words.
Tina says BS. You gotta love that. You gotta love that, Tina. Gotta love it.
Mahalo, Tina. Tina's calling from Hawaii.
From Hawaii?
That's pretty early.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
She's
pretty
up at
far.
6.
That's pretty far. So getting to know each other. Pop your stuff in here. How long you been in business? Have you ever won any direct federal contracts? Or maybe you're doing work as a sub, or maybe you're just brand spanking new and you're not doing work in the federal government yet. And have you ever been to one of these sessions before? Love it. We got a bunch of folks that have been here before. Come on now. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing. All right. Come on now. Words for the federal government. One word. This is going to be audience participation, or I'm going to start telling jokes.
This is the interactive part. 34 participants from all over the country, and so this is where we interact.
All right. So I'm going to introduce, while you're answering those questions, I'm going to introduce the folks that are here. We got Rafael Marrero, who helps folks with capability statements. We're going to be talking a lot about that, Rafa.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep. We're going to talk about your ability to help create capabilities, briefings, maybe even some videos, making sure the website's tight, looking for government. I love what you do on business cards too, making them little capability statements. So we got Rafa. If your marketing team says, I don't understand what these federal things are, I don't know what a capability statement is, then you got the wrong people looking at your stuff, right, Rafa?
Chances are you're in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place, baby. So, so there you can see what Rafa does here. I love his capabilities business cards because it lets people know that you belong And if you don't belong, people know it. I know it. And so Sally White, we have with Echo Wolf Solutions. She's got to leave in just a couple minutes and get on with some highfalutin people with the government. So we're going to let her get out of here. But I do want to ask a couple questions of her before she goes. She is an Uber connector, as you can see. She does a lot of work in LinkedIn and also helps folks do things at events, right? You helps clients, right? That's what you're getting.
Absolutely. I just have to acknowledge I put my Raphael blue glasses on today because we're going to be.
Oh man, I don't have mine.
I know, you got to get those.
But I do have this. Hold on.
No worries. So lots of events. Events are really important because they're a way to connect with not only prime contractors, but government contractors. Peter Timpus and I go to a lot of events. We go with Dave, et cetera. So help you get the ROI of events, connecting before, et cetera. And Dave, did you want me to wait to talk about?
Yep, I wanted you to wait.
Okay. I'm
All right.
waiting. Thanks.
And I'm
Nice
also
to meet
going to
everybody.
introduce Peter Timbus, who we will talk about some things here, including letters of financial support. The reason why I love Peter is he understands the federal government. If you talk to banks and you're $1 million company and you win a $10 million contract, banks' heads explode. Right, Peter?
That's exactly right.
And that is what you guys handle stuff in that world. And I'm going to let you talk about that in just a minute. Brian Hebel's not here today. He's on a session right this minute talking about DFARS. So he's not going to be joining us, but he also is involved with what we do here. He's an insider, been in there for a long time. And so I am the CEO of ISI Federal, and I don't have the blue glasses, Rafa, but I do have my hat. I got my hat, baby. I got my Uncle Sam hat. So
You got the secret sauce hat.
I do have the secret sauce hat. Speaking of secret sauce, share the book. You got the book handy?
Your book?
Your book, not my book. My book doesn't exist yet.
Your book?
Yeah, my book.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
your.
Not my book, your book.
Why not?
Where? No, I'm not. You're not showing my book because it doesn't exist yet. It's vaporware. Yours is
No,
real.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
It's vaporware, man. It doesn't exist
It's
yet.
a
Oh,
vision.
God.
It's a
Just
vision.
because you got a cover doesn't mean it's ready. All right. So real quick today. I'm talking about the sam.gov tutorial today. Ralph is going to be talking about registration tomorrow. So you can find that on GovBrief. A little bit about us. GovBrief helps you be the SME. We're going to be talking about that in reaching program managers in a minute. We also can reach industry, like folks like you. A lot of folks know who I am and what I do and what we do. But we are not, it's not just me, right, Rafa? It's folks like Rafa, it's folks like Sally, it's folks like Brian, it's a whole bunch of folks. In fact, we have unsolicited proposal next week with a current federal program manager. Now I'm telling you, that's a crazy great session. So find that out on GovBrief. If you want to be an expert, we're going to talk about that too. And you want to showcase what you do to govies and industry, this is the place to do it. You can see, folks, sam.gov registration tomorrow, right, Rafa?
That's right.
And this is a new one, which is evaluating AI for federal RFP proposal writing. Very cool. And then, as I mentioned, unsolicited proposals to federal agencies. Don't tell anybody, but Maria is a current federal program manager. Shh.
Wow.
Can't tell you who she works for. And then we have other things like FPDS. We got Antoine Smith talking about certifications. We're talking about how, oh man, I tell you what, for-profit grants, brand new. I didn't even know this existed. It's a new thing, folks. For profit. That means you, small businesses, can participate. We also have on-demands on GovBrief, bunch of stuff there that you can check out there. And we also have Sam Radar. We'll be talking about that today, as well as some other products in order to be able to monitor stuff. All right, so the spending fuse is lit. I'm going to lose this so people actually start to take me seriously again. So, hot seat questions one more time. Contracting officers, program managers, prime contractors. What do they need from us? So, Sally, I know you got to bounce in just a minute, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me end this poll.
Okay.
Let me end the poll. And let's see. I'm going to share this with everybody. So, not anybody's brand spanking new. We have we have 12% 1 to 2 years. Most folks have been around for a while. When you add all that up together, that's a lot. And 47% have direct federal contracts. That's phenomenal, guys.
Very good.
I love it. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so So you can bounce out of here. I'm going to do some updates because we're doing this on the fly with Sally, so we can get her insight. What do contractors need from vendors specifically, since you do things at events? You go help folks at events. And what do you do at events, real quick?
Exactly. So a couple things. I help my clients. Peter Timbus is one of them. We go to a lot of conferences together. We go to the Hub Zone conference that's coming up in July. We go to small minority-owned business conferences. We go to Veterans Administration conferences. And these conferences have between 2,000 and 5,000, some of the big ones, 10 and 20,000 individuals there, which is very important. The prime contractors are there looking for companies like ours to assist them in their really large contracts. You have government contractors, you have program managers, and all the individuals that Dave will talk about that you can source on Sam Radar. What I do prior to the conference is really get a sense of who's going to be there, if we can do a direct marketing piece, if we can do an email piece, connect on LinkedIn, look on Sam Radar to see what contracts are currently being sourced, etc. And then when we actually get to the conference, sometimes we have a booth and we get ready for the booth. We walk around. I call it walk and stalk in a lovely way. But you're going to walk up to people's booths.
You used to be, now Sally used to be anti-stalking, but I turned her around.
Yes, we're a friendor, not a vendor, Dave. So what happens now is when you walk up to prime contractors and prime and government contractors booths, you often see a brochure like this. So the one I'm showing you, this is from Navy Research Laboratory. So as everyone knows who attended one of Dave and my grant sessions, there are over $900 billion available in grant money from the DoD. That's not counting the $1.5 trillion, right? From
1.2 trillion.
1.2, thank you, I stand corrected. So you're going to see a brochure like this, and they'll have QR codes. And the QR codes will tell you, so everyone knows how to do that. We all did it during COVID when we went to restaurants, etc. You'll hover your phone, and that'll tell you exactly who to connect with. Well, you don't want to just do that and then walk by. What you want to say is, I have a capability statement. May I leave it with a note, and may I schedule time for a CAPE call? Now, I'm going to share. I am in love with my capability statement. So Dr. Rafael Moraro and his team created the most beautiful capability statement that's actually informing my beautiful website. And so I have a capability statement. I will leave it with them with one of my little Echo Wolf business cards, right? And I will say to them, I'd like to contact you, and then I will take their business card or scan their important thing. Now, it's also important when you have, again, this is Peter's, which he'll talk about in a minute. Now, sadly, Peter simply has a brochure, which is no problem. So I said, Peter, what is your capability statement? Peter, what did you say?
I pulled my wallet out.
This is my capability statement. You'll know why when Peter says that, because he gives people money. And at Peter's booth, we don't give away pens and candy. We give away actually money.
Money.
So anyway, but briefly, go to the conferences prepared. One, research your SAM Radar individuals, because when I walk up to those prime contractors and I have information from SAM Radar, they're really impressed that I know what's going on. I'm not just walking up like Dave said, hi, I'd like to do business with the government. So I walk up prepared. I have my beautiful Rafael Moraro Echo Wolf Solutions capability statement. I walk up, I only take a few minutes of their time. I connect with them on matchmaking. I don't say things like, so what do you lay awake at night thinking about? Like, how do you, how do you want to help Department of Homeland Security? I don't walk up like that. I say, I see that DHS is very interested right now with AI, etc. This is what my partner can do. So that's what I do to help conferences and to make sure that we give contracting officers what they need from vendors, frienders, and partners.
Love it. So real important, and I'm going to let you get out of here because I know you got to jump. But I appreciate it. The reason why she's high speed is she has to go jump on with some govies, and we're going to let her get out of here. But I appreciate what you said about Raphael and what Raphael does, because Raphael Moraro and Company does capability statements. We're going to talk a lot about that in just a minute. I'm going to back up now that Sally got to be able to say kind of her overview, what she does. She takes those capability statements, really, really important. that those resonate with the right people. So I'm going to just take a step back and I'm going to talk about the market itself, right? If you're talking about who are the people, who are the key people that you're going to be playing with, you have your politicals, they're the political appointees. Right underneath of them are your senior executive services, and those people are the top level bureaucrats that run the agencies, right? And then beneath them, it splits. You have program managers that care about getting the job done, and you have procurement people, contracting officers, contracting specialists that care about getting the contract done. This is really important because, Rafa, we have to resonate with both, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. We got to resonate with both. And this is how it works. Program managers have a need. They're the ones that develop this. They say, I have to get this job done. I need a company that can do this work. And then they say, this is what it looks like. They take that and throw it over the fence to procurement. And on the winnable opportunity matrix, which is in the handouts, in the session handouts, you're talking about the contracting officer is the one that gets that information, says, I need a company to do this work. I got to find this company and I got to contract with this company. They are the only ones that have the authority to bind the government in a contract with you. Program managers can't. It's illegal for them to do it. Now, some of them may have P cards, still can use those. There's potential there, and that's a credit card, by the way. But most of the time when we're talking about contracts, we're talking about a contracting officer that gets that solicitation and puts it out. Now, here's the deal with contracting officers. These folks are busy. Their hair is getting on fire already. Why? Because the Congress couldn't get their act together, right, Rafa?
That's right.
They couldn't get their act together. And now they're under the gun to spend $1.2 trillion that Sally was talking about. They're not going to teach you how to do business with them. They're going to throw you over to the small business liaisons or the OSDBUs and say, hey, talk to them. OSDBUs don't make decisions. OSDBUs don't have the authority to make decisions. Contracting officers have the authority to bind the government and contract with you. And here's the biggest problem. They're risk averse. And they don't like new things, which, guess what? If you're new, they don't like you. No offense. It's just business. Don't take it personal. It's just business. Now, I want to talk for a minute about how we can start to lower the risk level for contracting officers. And one of the reasons why I love that Peter's here today is, Peter, you do something before the contract award to help customers. What is it?
Well, when we engage with a customer, one of the things that we offer our clients is our ability, when they're bidding on a proposal, to issue them a letter of financial support. And in that letter of financial support, we state to the government that should they award the contract to our client, we will be there to financially support them on operating on that contract. Because one of the big considerations that contracting officers use is credit.
Mm-hmm.
They want to make sure that not only do you have the capability, the competency, but you also have to have the credit. They don't want to issue a contract and then you can't perform. And if they do that and you don't perform, you're basically dead in the federal arena.
Forever.
So they have that comfort level that we're going to give them a letter of financial support. And we issue that based upon the opportunity. So even if you're a $1 million company and you get a $10 million award, we lend to the opportunity. So we're going to support that opportunity, regardless of what your current financials look like. So that's very, very important.
And that's the difference that I was saying earlier. There's a difference between what you guys do in a bank, because their heads would explode. I'm talking with banks now, and some of the banks are starting to get it a little bit, but the larger banks that have the financial wherewithal to do it, they really have a hard time with federal contractors because it just doesn't operate like the commercial space, right, Peter?
Yeah, not only do they have problems with that, but they have problems with the numbers. So if you're $1 million company, you may have a $250,000 line of credit
Mm-hmm.
because they lend on your financial statements. They lend. The banks lend like if you got in your car and you drove around backwards all day in reverse, because that's what banks do. They look in the rearview mirror. We look out the windshield. So even if you're $1 million company and you've got a $200,000 line of credit and you want to bid on a IT contract that has 50 positions that's going to require $1 million line, we're going to set you up with $1 million line to perform on that contract.
Well, first of all, I've never heard you
forward-looking.
use that term, driving around backwards, looking in the rear. That's really funny. I love that. So that's a good one. You got to keep that one. That one caught me off guard. So I love that. And what I love, so definitely we'll talk some more about that in a minute. So when you're going out, you want to reduce the risk. You need, one of the biggest things that you need to look like is you belong, right, Rafael Marrero?
Absolutely.
And the number one thing that they're going to look at, well, actually, there's multiple things they look at, right? So you give them a capability statement, and they're going to know right away whether you belong or not.
That is correct.
And that capability statement has to resonate with the contracting officer. And if you take a look, if you remember, their job is to execute the contract, right?
That's
So
right.
they're selecting the purchasing mechanism, right?
That's
They're
right.
developing the contract documents, and they want the easy way to purchase. So, and if we want to make it easy for them, we want to make it easy for them to see exactly what you do to help them move that paper, right? So you're part of your 6 C's. You have your 6 C's, and I want everybody to meet with Raphael to talk about their 6 C's. But a couple of the 6 C's that are really, really important, 3 of them actually, that resonate with contracting officers. The first one is contracts that you already have, if you got them, right? Like a GSA contract.
Yep.
And why is it so important to have your contracts, your codes, right? You can talk about your codes.
Yep.
And your certifications. Why do they matter so much to the contracting officers?
Well, they're very important, Dave, because we're talking about something called vendor risk management, VRM. It's the framework that those of us that are practitioners in supply chain management and institutional supply chains, such as the federal government or the large private sector and industry, need to look at in order to mitigate risk. Why? Because in the case of the government, you have tax dollars. In the case of the private sector, your shareholder money. So you need to make sure that you have a fiduciary responsibility, and you have to make sure that you are held to the highest standards and that you're not putting your shareholder dollars at risk by taking an irresponsible, or by making an irresponsible decision or a subjective decision just because you like someone, or they go to your same church, or you play baseball with them on the weekends, right? You need to base it on criteria that is defined according to the federal acquisition regulations. Now, is it true that contracting officers and others have biases? Of course, we all do. We all have preferences. We all have a favorite hairstylist or a heart surgeon or a mechanic that we take our car to. But it is incumbent upon the contracting officer to follow these rules each and every time they are going to source, okay, from sourcing to pay. So source to pay, that entire life cycle has to abide by these guidelines. And they have to make sure, number one, that you meet the 6 C's. They need to make sure that you are performing in the right NAICS and PSC codes, because that means that you have something called relevant past performance in those codes, right? And that tracks back to what the program office is requesting. So they're satisfying their internal customer needs and checking that box off, right? Because they get evaluated by their internal customers also, aside from their top management. Secondly, are you on the contracting vehicles of choice to them? Remember, multiple award schedules and GSA schedules are not the end-all be-all. You may have an IDIQ and not necessarily a GSA schedule that's running in that agency. So,
so true.
So multiple awards. Sometimes GSA schedules actually only account For a small fraction, Dave, you're talking about less than $40 billion out of a total of $1 trillion. If you do the numbers, you're looking at a very small percentage of the overall acquisition strategies for the government. So keep that in mind. Don't lead with a specific GSA schedule. If you do need one, because that's the one that your agency prefers, then I suggest you start working on it when you qualify and you are suitable for it. Also, they're looking for client references, right? That's another one of the C's that I like to look at. And why are client references or client agency references important? Well, because top tier, right? Preferred A1 would be departmental, right? Or agency specific, and in that specific niche within that, right? And you want to mitigate something called risk because you're risk averse by definition. And that means that you get to define the government, you help them define the government's acquisition strategy, which you do at the very early stages of the game by inserting yourself into the sources sought and RFI requests, which are the market analysis.
Love that.
The government must conduct in order to down select from a large pool of vendors and then pretty much determine if it's going to go small business or other than small or veteran owned or sole source.
They must select those if you're going to go out with an RFP, but we know that most don't. So
that's right.
We'll talk about that too. But if we can drive their opinion of us and our risk to them down by providing great information in the capability statement, providing what Peter was talking about with the letter of financial support. Hey, I'm real. Hey, I belong here. Hey, I understand what you need from me. And now I loved what you just said, Rafa, and that is, hey, ask the contracting officer what their preferred method is for purchasing what you sell.
That's right.
It's a beautiful question because in order for them to answer that question, they have to know what you sell, first of all. And if they didn't know who you were, if you take a look at this, by the way, this is from the Winnable Opportunity Matrix. If you take a look at this, if they don't know you, you're here. It's not starting out in a fair level playground. There is no zero here. They don't know you. That's a risk to you, and that's a risk to them. So in order for them to get in, for you to get in here, you start talking to them and say, hey, I kind of like you. You don't spit on when you talk and you don't step on my shoes in the elevator. So you're kind of okay, right? So what we're talking about is we need to be engaging with these contracting officers to find out how they like to do things. Love that question. One of my favorite questions, as a matter of fact. So now I'm gonna shift gears. And say, all right, and I'm going to ask the question in just a minute. I'm going to show you a couple things, but I'm going to show you how an opportunity turns into an award, right? So we have our program managers. We talked about this before. That's these guys here. And they create the scope of work, send it over to the contracting officer. That turns out into an opportunity. Could be an RFI or sources sought, like you said, Rafa, right? It could be posted, right? But once it's awarded, after you respond to it, it's a contract award that connects the contracting officer and the project manager or program manager, and it's awarded to a prime contractor. And prime contractors have needs too. And we're going to talk about those in a minute. So from your perspective, we already talked about this a little bit from a hot seat question. Contracting officers need to mitigate that risk, right? We need to lower their risk level, which means we got to give them hey, we're good at what we do. Here's our core. We're good at what we do. It operates in these codes. You mentioned NAICS and product service codes, right? NAICS and PSCs. Right. And we can give them, hey, we're financially stable.
That's right.
That's very important.
Very important.
And here's our past performance, even if it may be commercial, but if we're asking them about how they like to buy, we want to get them the fastest way to purchase. Some of them like GSA, some of them hate GSA. I have talked to contracting officers that hate GSA.
Yep.
Just like a lot of us hate GSA for different reasons, right? So
Yep.
on the outside, we want to make it easy for them to do that. All right, I'm going to break off for a second. I'm going to talk about how, remember the bonus is how does SAM Radar help? Well, here's how it helps. A 2-minute drill, 2-minute challenge is what I'm asking from everybody. I'm saying, hey, can you in 2 minutes review your email and click to contact a buyer that SAM Radar says this person's operating in your space. This person is swimming in your pool, right? And the reason being, and I'm going to show you why this is, 98% never shows up on sam.gov. It's not going out as an RFI. It's not going out as an RFP. The FAR gives contracting officers the ability to purchase by just selecting a few vendors, and it meets the requirements. You don't believe me? I'm going to show you. These are in the handouts, by the way, and this will be updated with the latest version. It looks like this all the time. If you look at this, not reported, offers received. It's done by that column that says number of offers received, right? And look at this. 79% of the contracts, zero competition.
No way. No.
This is new since 2021. This started to change in COVID land. It started to be different. But take a look at this. 92% of the dollars are shortlisted with 5 or fewer offers received. That means if you're one of the 5, you only have 4 other competitors. The vast majority of the time. So what we need to know, and watch this one. You want to know why we built SAM Radar? This is the current number, 2.62%. That's going to go down to 2% by fiscal year end. I promise you. I promise you it will. Because if you take a look, 3.3 million contracts and change and 88,000 and change hitting sam.gov. You need a way to get to the other 98% because they're not showing up on sam.gov. So I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to let you take a look at what this looks like. Let me get my emails up here. Where's my mail? There it is. All right. I haven't looked at this today. So hold on a second. I was searching something on here. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to go to my SAM Radar. So this is my SAM Radar for today. All right. Let's take a look at this one right here. This is a notification. Why do we use email? Because you live in email and we don't want to suck you down life into the world of an app. You can always log in and check stuff out. Here's an award. When was it awarded? Yesterday. Number of offers received, 1. Right? And it's to increase funding. So that's why there's only 1 offer received. They're already the incumbent. But it's a new order. Now take a look at this one. How about this? 1.3 million and change just the other day. Number of offers received, 1. And it's a BPA call. A BPA call is never going to hit sam.gov. It'll hit it on the original potentially. So what we're going to say is, all right, let's see if we can find one that is, here's one that's not reported, which also means 1. Just the other day for 91,000 and change. This is a delivery order, so it's either an IDIQ or it's a one-off. So what do we want to do? All I want to do in the 2-minute, here's your 2-minute drill. Wendy Bell is, take a look at this. She created it, she modified it, and she approved it. She is the one contact that's going to be involved in this. One thing I want you to do, click this button and say, hey, I want to chat with you about the award to Rigil Communication on 6/6. That's all we want to do. 2 minutes is what I'm saying is all it takes to be able to start injecting yourself in the spot. Now, I recommend that you don't even tell them your capabilities yet. I recommend that you say, I want to chat. Tell me how that worked with Rigil. So that way, then you can tailor your capability statement to what they need. Because you should be doing that, right, Rafa? Your capability statement is not just a static document, right? You should be making that work for you in other ways, not just single capabilities, right?
Not a boilerplate. It can be opportunity specific, agency specific.
That's right.
That's right.
So That's how SAM Radar works in order to reach out and engage on that. I'm going to ask a question now. What do you need help with? Do you need help with your contracting officers? Do you need help with a capability statement? Because that's Rafa. Do you need knowing contracting officers in your market? That's SAM Radar, as well as what we do. Do you need help with connecting with them? Sally helps with that. Rafa helps with that. I help with that. So does Peter, right? Letter of financial support, or you want to engage contracting officers at events or need help with RFPs. Let us know where you need the help the most, and we'll make sure we get there. All right, as they're answering that question, I'm going to set up the next one for us because I want to make sure we stay on time. So we got the background, right? We got the background about how solicitations work. Program managers are the ones that create that work. They're the ones that are going to define what the work is. They're the ones that are going to be in charge. Right? So you're going to have one side of the house are the people that do the buying. The other side of the house are the people that are in charge and getting the job done. So let's talk a little bit about this. I want to introduce this, and then we're going to ask the next question. So project managers or program managers, it depends on the agency which one they use, by the way. So if we're looking at this from a standpoint, initiatives can come down from the president, right, Rafa? It can come down from the president. It can also come down because that agency is responsible for implementing certain things in order to meet their mission. So that's one of the things I think is real important with what you said about your capability statement is you want to make sure that it's in line with what the agency needs at the top level, right? But then you have initiatives, right? So we all do different things. Some of us are in electronic vehicles or something like that, or cloud computing or security, right? Cybersecurity, huge. Then you also have cost cutting and savings. They always say they want to save money. I'm always skeptical, just saying. I'm always skeptical. And then you have political things. You can see that what's happening, whether you agree with it or not. I don't want to get into the political debate of what's happening from the White House or what's going to happen in the next White House. The fact of the matter is they're going to get their fingerprints on it, and they're going to change the direction of the spending. Now, these guys, your project managers and program managers, are looking for ways to solve problems. They are literally doing that, and they're genuine about it. Now, this is where you get to be able to get your fingerprints on it. And I'm gonna say something that a lot of people may not believe, but if you don't understand that by the time it hits sam.gov, somebody's already got their fingerprints on it. That means if you didn't do it, your competition did. And if your competition has their fingerprints on it, they have an unfair advantage. Does everybody agree with that?
That's right.
That's right. They have an unfair advantage because they've been talking and they've been doing it sometimes for years. Maybe they're the incumbent and they keep putting their fingerprints on it. Now, if you go into an RFP thinking, oh, this is all just full and open and it's okay because I can do this and I can meet all these points, you're still behind the game.
Yep.
Because they don't know who you are. Because that scope has already been influenced. The requirements are influenced. The capabilities that they're going to ask for from the company have already been influenced because they want to get the job done right, and they're going to go to somebody they know. I'm going to close this poll so that we can get, I'll make sure I get, because that's on my screen. You guys don't see it, but if you already answered the poll. But I appreciate you guys answering that, and we will do our best to be able to do that. All right. So, Rafael Moreira, this is really in your wheelhouse.
Yep.
From the capability standpoint, what do program managers need from us if we want to be successful in resonating with them?
Oh, we want to show, this is where you get to shine. You get to show them how good of a job you've done in the past with key metrics. For example, if you're involved in cybersecurity, you may want to call out your IT security, your cybersecurity certifications. What percentage of your staff is certified in which domains and which disciplines, right? How many CISPs you have? How many people have undergone the Cyber Warrior program at My Computer Career, for example, right? They have a great program right there. Right now, there's a challenge with open source intelligence, right? How many people do you have on the bench that are certified in OSINT, right?
And this, you're talking about like a socioeconomic certification.
No,
You're talking about a
professional industry,
Yeah.
industry certification.
industry professional, right?
That's right. That's right. So one of the C's that people typically overlook when they talk about certifications, they're talking about not just small business certifications. They're also talking about your professional industry qualifications and your certificates of competencies, the COCs. And this is important because one stamp gives you a rubber stamp stating that you belong to a specific socioeconomic group, and then you've been vetted as such. The other actually speaks to your ability to execute on within specific parameters and your level of mastery for a specific domain or subject matter. It's important that you call out both. So on a capability statement addressed to a program manager, you want to emphasize on-time delivery with percentages, right? With metrics, scope compliant projects that you've completed in their wheelhouse, maybe some success stories, maybe some client testimonials. Those are the things that they're looking for. Okay. You want to map your experience to their needs to show that you are aligned, right? And how well you did in the previous project, because they're not looking for boneheads. They're looking for people to fall in line, follow the party line, and just, accomplish the mission objectives here.
That's right. And so I do have something. So one question Tina had or a comment is, in some contract bids that way because they're the only one that bids. That's correct. Because they're the only one that even knows that it exists.
Yep.
And then Tina also says, what about Dunn's number or the cage code? And absolutely, even though Dunn's is kind of sunset, I would still leave that on there, right?
Well, I would leave that on there because the banking world uses it. Number one, I think it was a big mistake for the government to do away with the Dunn's and bring in the UEI because the financial world uses the Dun and Bradstreet nomenclature. That's very important. Number two, you should always have it because they're still kind of migrating in the systems. Sometimes when you look at Cage or you look at UEI, the old legacy.
The Cage is staying. The UEI is new, but the Cage is not going away. The DLA does that.
Understood, Dave. But sometimes when we've done our queries in SAM, like the SAM profiles, there's a discrepancy because of a comma.
No way. There's discrepancies in the government programs?
Can you believe that?
Impossible.
Can you believe that?
Freaking impossible.
Sometimes it even has to do with a misplaced comma that goes back to when you registered the company. So anyway,
my gosh.
So because of that reason, I always recommend that in the codes section, you have your PSC, your NAICS codes, your PSC codes, that you also have all of your DUNS, UEI, and Cage code, right?
Yeah,
have
I
all
agree.
Information. Okay.
So I'm going to set you up because, first of all, a lot of folks here don't know that Rafael Marrero is also involved with a publishing company that helps people with books. And I know you already been talking about my book, which I'm writing. You're helping me publish. That is coming out, ladies and gentlemen. It will happen because Rafael is lighting a fire under my booty in order to make that happen. So we're not going to talk about my book, but I want to talk
I do
about
have my cover here. Yep.
the importance of being a subject matter expert or the SME. How important is that they are elevated to the SME status for program managers?
And that's very important, Dave, because remember, they're looking for expert and on-time delivery and compliant delivery of their goals. If I can go back to the whole relationship between project, program, and portfolio management, which is really what we're talking about here, program managers are actually a step up from project managers. A program manager is more of a CEO of a business unit. If you really compare it in terms of hierarchy, above a program manager, you have administrators and directors really, but a program manager can be in charge of a combatant command. For example, an account manager for Southcom at SAIC could be a vice president, just so you know, because one of our senior consultants in our firm was the account manager for Southcom, and he was a vice president at SAIC, which is Jose Adan Gutierrez. And
I use, by the way, real quick, I use the terms synonymously because what we're talking about is not the procurement side. We're talking about program and project managers. Yeah,
understood. I just wanted to establish the difference. And then
you're right. You're absolutely right.
The portfolio management comes from the strategic that's done at the federal level. So this is why it's so important to these people, right? You need to understand who you're speaking to. So your
That's right.
materials need to be aligned with their needs, right?
Mhm.
Need to tweak the lingo so that you're hitting the key points, right? You
And
need to
and being
speak their language.
being a SME
That's right.
elevates you in their eyes. So there's a lot of being an author that elevates you in people's eyes. Having
Right.
a good white paper that's an extract from all the things that you've done is also a way to establish yourself as a SME. I'm going to take a minute to show you something that also helps you be a SME. This is a case study that we used when we were calling for presenters a couple months ago. This briefing happened on June 28th, 2022. I'm going to show it to you in just a minute. This is Como Goyle and Manish Carrera. These folks, what happened is GovBrief pushed out and drew in program managers. That 187 number is federal project managers and program managers. Even a few SESs were in there.
Mhm.
But the most important thing is that is on the program side of the house. So 187 signed up, 121 showed up, 54 different agencies were represented in this, and 34 had interest. One of them, they pulled through, happened to be CMS. That's me and Como in front of the CMS, because that's right about 15 minutes away from where I'm sitting right now. And that's where Brian Hebel's from as well. That turned into a contract award that was not competed. So we can take a look at that. Let me just see if I can pull this up real
That's so important, Dave, because that right there, to differentiate yourself by virtue of establishing your expertise, meets one of the key criteria for a sole source award justification.
There's ways to move these through. This actually turned into their piece as a sub to a prime. They were engaged by the program manager, engaged directly and said, "Hey, we want to run this through the prime because they already have the contract." Right. And oh, by the way, they needed the bench depth too. So this is what it looks like when we finish a GovBrief. When GovBrief has a finished product, you can see this as out there. If you go to GovBrief, robotic process automation or RPA, you can find this and you can watch this. This is Como and this is the finished product. So this helps you become the subject matter expert. All right, so now I got a question and we're going to get on to our next one so we can stay on time. Do you need help with program managers? So, becoming a SME. I think it's one of the most important things, by the way. When I'm elevated as a SME, when I walk into a room, I'm on stage, I get preferential treatment.
Yep.
It is a fact. And when we've done stuff together, Rafa, and we've been all over this country.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
So we wind up doing things together and people regard us as subject matter experts. The people that are here, and you should, because we are. We are subject matter experts in this field. So you becoming one is really, really important. And that's what GovBrief was built for, was actually to reach Govies. Hey, we're also doing it to reach industry. Hint, hint, I'm doing something for today. Rafa's doing something tomorrow. Mm-hmm. All right? So the next part that we're talking about, just to set it up. Now, program manager throws over the fence to a contracting officer, becomes an opportunity, and we can craft these opportunities, by the way, 98% of the time, these are happening without going out to sam.gov, right? Mm-hmm. And about 88% of the time, it's not part of one of the IDIQs or BPAs that everybody's using. There's over 10,000 BPAs out there, over 10,000 of them. That means the government can buy off of any one of these vehicles. It's our job to be able to market to them. But this becomes an opportunity, which then gets an award, which is a prime. Now we're going to talk about prime contractors, and you led right into it, Rafa. Prime contractors bid on projects and they win, right?
Yeah, that's right.
These people have an unfair advantage because they already have relationship with the contracting officer, the program managers, and the cores. That's the TR. So the cores are the ones that are giving your CPARs, your grade on how well you've done that contract. They are in under the tent, which is an insane advantage.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable the level of advantage that the incumbents have. So we need to break this pattern. That's what we want to do. If we're going direct to the program managers and the contracting officers. But we also know that they're already got the money and they need to get the job done and they want to be profitable. They need to be profitable, right? Right? Hey, Peter, how important is it for a contractor to be profitable?
Extremely.
If you want to survive, some just survive and some thrive, right?
Correct.
And they also need resources like you. Everybody here is wants to provide resources. You want to provide resources. We provide resources, and they need to meet their small business goals. So Rafael Marrero introduced a couple of things in the supply chain for the prime contractors, because you did a lot of this prime contracting and you did a lot of vetting for primes and big prime, right?
Yep.
Like really big.
Like really big crimes.
Like really big. So
Yeah.
you were vetting them. What do prime contractors need from the people that are here?
Well, one of the things that we requested, right? We had a subcontracting manager, first and foremost, that was in charge of getting all the paperwork squared away to make sure that they fit the bill. That was one part of the equation. We had vendor managers that were in charge of sourcing and identifying and interviewing people. We had attorneys that exchanged paper with them. We had insurance experts, others that were experts in quality and safety that did different types of. So we had a whole shop of people that were vetting vendors out.
Yeah.
From a
So what do they
technical
need?
perspective.
What do they need?
They need documentation and proof that they can meet the specs, right?
Mhm.
They need for example, they need copies of your insurance. They need copies of your OSHA logs if you're in construction, your EMR records, right?
So all the paperwork, they need the paperwork.
Right.
And what do they need in order to be able to crack in and get your attention? What do they need? How do they get your attention as a prime?
Well, as a prime is that they tell you, well, I have a contract and I need to fill this contract with a small business subcontracting plan. You can have a part of this, a piece of this pie, and I need you to provide this, that, and the other to see if you qualify for my scope. They have to comply with this no matter what.
They have to comply. They have to comply. So they need to meet their small business goals. That's one of the things.
Right.
And who of us have 100% of the resources we need right this minute? Anybody here? If anybody here says they got 100% of what they need, you're lying to yourself and everybody else on this call. Nobody here has 100% of what they do, of what they need, right?
That's why teaming is important, Dave, and that's why.
Okay. Catherine's asking the question, how do you connect with primes? Catherine, thank you for that softball meatball that's coming down the pipe, because I'm about to crush it. So I'm going to take everybody back to what we talked about earlier. Remember that 2-minute drill? I want to show you exactly how to do this. The 2-minute drill, just like we were looking at before, I want you to contact the federal contracting officer, buyer, if you will, and ask them for a referral to the prime. And I'm going to tell you why this is so important. Well, let's go back to this one, right? Here we have an award for $1.3 million, right? And this is going to Concio Consulting, right? Now, this Todd Painter, right? When did this happen? Just the other day. So we're going to say, hey, Todd, I'm looking to do some similar work that Concio is working on this particular project. Can you let me know who the project manager is in Concio Consulting? Now, I'll tell you why I love this. These people are risk averse. If you ask Todd for a referral to his boss, Probably not happening. If you ask Todd for a referral to the PM internally with Department of State, might happen, better than the boss, but it might not happen. This question for asking him for a referral to the project manager at Conseo, that is a low risk ask. And all you got to do is just say, hey, I need to talk with the person that's responsible for this at Conseo. Who is working on this category management services contract that you just awarded for $1.3 million and change? That is exactly what you want to do. And you can do it in less than 2 minutes. At least I think you can. If you can't do that in less than 2 minutes, then talk to me and we'll figure out a way to make it work. So we just took a look. This is really important because it enables you to compete. It enables you to start to get your feet wet, right? How important is it to work with primes if you've never done a federal contract before and work as a sub to a prime, Rafa?
It's fundamental, Dave.
It's fundamental.
Yeah.
And Peter, how much easier is it for you to start building up your financial resources by working with a prime contractor and then going to be the prime?
Extremely important. Extremely.
So there you go. We're going to get you guys out of here in just a minute. Got a couple last minute points for everybody. Do you need help with prime contractors? So we talked about reaching contracting officers. We talked about reaching program managers. Now we're talking about reaching primes. All of this, every single one of these should be part of your go-to business, your federal strategy, right? Right, guys? Every one of these.
Absolutely.
It's not an either or, it's an and.
Yep.
Because if we want to win federal contracts and the incumbents are already got the foothold in there, they're already winning. I just showed you multiple contracts, some of those for millions of dollars. People that are swimming in your lane, in your pool. They are swimming in your pool. They already have the relationships. We want to go punch them in the mouth. We could steal their relationships, certainly. We may want to join up with them. They want teaming partners to reduce that risk, right, Rafa? It's
That's
much
right.
better to go in with 4 or 5 small businesses on a deal. Lower the risk level. Then you can disrupt what the incumbent is doing. The incumbent has a completely unfair advantage. And we want to do that. And I'm challenging you, sign up for Sam Radar, check the email, make the sends. And I'm telling you, in the next 100 days, you will have more than 100 leads.
Yep.
And you'll be seeing things that never, ever, ever hit sam.gov. So when you sign up, you get continual support. This is important because this world doesn't operate the way you think it does. We had this happen on Monday, right? Over the weekend, Thurman, who comes to the Monday roundtables, he shot a message, said, hey, I don't know what to say to this contract. I reached out to the contracting officer. They responded, now what do I do? And so I said to him, I said, here, say this, 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 and this. And they keep me posted. So we're going to see what happens. He's already got dialogue by using these tactics. And some of these tactics are just so bloody simple, you'll be like, no. Some of the people that you're going to meet on the Monday roundtables, we had one where Rob said, hey, he said, one line email. And they're like, well, we want to say all this, this, and this. Stop it. Just hit the send button. No, we want to say how we want to include all these bullet points on everything. No, hit the send button. Hit the send button. Guess what? 4 out of 6 responded. Come on now. That's really, really good. So you can also lock in the savings, sign up, do the 2-minute drill. Challenge me on that. We have 111 days. If we want to be in here, you gotta get moving. So reach out to Rafa. And if you answered any of those questions, you're going to have Rafa and Peter and Sally and somebody from my team. So you can reach out to Rafa. Here's his direct information. That is a direct information, right, Rafa?
That's right.
It goes right to you. Reach out to Sally, because I can tell you she is a mad, crazy lady running around with Govies. That's all I got to say. And she needs to know about you, and you need to know what she's doing. Peter Timbus, great job. Appreciate everything you do for our clients, being able to fund them and being there for that.
Before we
You-
jump,
What's that?
I wanted to share with you the cover of the book. And for those that are on this session
Killing
today, for those that are on the session, Dave, free ebook, but they have to sign up and they have to contact us. So have them,
All right.
have them email and we'll send them a free copy of the ebook.
All right. So that's your ebook, not my ebook.
Yes.
I'm not giving my stuff away. I'm just kidding. I don't have it yet. All right. You can reach out to Brian if you need help with CPARs or learning the FAR. He's the man. Join me today for our session at 1 o'clock. If you want to know about the sam.gov tutorial, we'll be reviewing that. And I will leave you with this. And I know we're a couple minutes over, shocking as that might be. If you need professional help, not the kind of professional help for listening to us for an hour. If you need professional help, we can help you with that in other ways too. And please, please, please join us next month. It's free. And there's also a free trial for Sam Radar. And if you'd like to join today, you can join for learning about the sam.gov tutorial. My recommendation is sign up for Sam Radar because you're going to get the dose for the tutorial. You're going to get beyond the tutorial, but that's up to you. All right, guys. Appreciate you, Rafa. Thank you very much. And Peter, you're awesome. Thanks for being there.
David.
And I highly encourage you to reach out to Peter because banks don't get you. I can tell you that. All right, guys, we're going to get you out of here. I got to get ready for the session. So if you answered any of these questions, we'll keep that open for just a minute. Rafa, you're on tomorrow talking about sam.gov registrations on GovBrief, right?
Yes, sir.
Get this freaking gnat flying around. Man, it's like, what is going on? Anyhow.
They typically fly around fruit.
Yes. That is true.
That is a fact.
That is a fact. All right. We're going to get you guys out of here. Thanks for responding to the polls and being part of it. And appreciate you guys. Rafa, you want to join me today at 1?
Yes, I'll join you at 1, and then I'll just going to hop off for the news and jump back on. I have the 1 o'clock news segment.
Cool.
I'll be with you. All
right. Sounds good. All right.
Great.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
All right. See you.
Bye, everyone.